Welcome to What's the Point? A weekly discussion of truth, realities, challenges, theological and philosophical views, national policies, and international concerns.
Welcome to What's the Point? We're actually continuing on a series where we talk about Dad's experience in Saudi Arabia. So the first part of this mini series, we focused more on Saudi Arabia and religious freedom there, more of a historical standpoint. But then in this episode, we're gonna dive deep more into Dad's actual experience there. As a, he was an accountant coming in, and then he started a church. So we kind of want to talk about that specifically today. So my first question, Dad, is can you give us a background as to how you ended up in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I have no intention of really going to Saudi Arabia, but it was part of my life journey, I think. So I was working as I was working in different functions in the Philippines at the time. I think I was vice president of an importing firm, at the same time doing some other jobs and consultancy for my previous jobs. And then I thought that I was called to really study in Bible school. So I resigned, and I was still single at the time. I resigned and went to my mentor pastor and said, who was the president of the Bible school, and said, I want to study. And so he gave me a book. I remembered the title. I do not remember the author now. Called to the Ministry. He said, you read first this book and tell me whether you still really wanted to go to Bible school. So here is a Bible school president trying to tell me to read the book. And and I fasted about 14 days while reading the book. And the impression that God told me was really my ministry, instead of going to Bible school, is really to help pastors. And so to help pastors, I just resigned from my job. How do I do that? Uh, and then all of a sudden, there was this one of my church mates and Sunday school teacher, also in the church of Pastor Ray, told me there's an opening to go to Saudi Arabia looking for accountants. Would you want to apply? And so I applied. I was immediately accepted. I think I was 26, 27 years old. And I was tasked with supervisory function immediately. And um, and so there I went. And I thought that was God's initial or beginning to fulfill my call to help people, because as I especially view it now, it all started there. And so I flew, and when I reached Saudi Arabia, it was a to me like culture shock, because you know how it is in the Philippines, that the roads were dark in the evening. It's not well lighted. But when I landed in Saudi Arabia at the time, I thought like the streets were a stadium.
Oh, it's so bright
Like, it's so bright.
at
It's
night.
so bright at night. It's so bright. And I said, why is this like this? And I learned later it was their strategy to control crime. So when you make the whole place lighted, the commission of crime is reduced. And uh, and so I was picked up. And you know how it is. You were given a lot of briefing before you go to Saudi Arabia. You should not look at a woman. You should not glance at a woman, because you will be arrested. You should not drink alcohol. No movies. No prostitution. No all those. No
No
entertainment.
movie.
Nothing. No movie theaters. Nothing.
Oh,
Now you can watch movie on television if there is, and they're all Arabic. And so at the time, this was 1986, I think, 87, 86. And so when I arrived, uh, to me, it was like, it was my first out of, I've been abroad before that, but it was my first job out of the country. So I didn't know what it will be. So I was picked up in the airport and then brought to the what we call villa. Villa is normally a building where the employees are given accommodation. So two people in our company, two people to one room.
Okay.
And so I was given a room. And when I woke up, my roommate happened, his name was Omar. I remember it. And he introduced himself, and he happened to be a Christian
Is
immediately
he
in my room.
Filipino or no?
Sorry?
Was your roommate Filipino?
Filipino. You normally have a roommate same race, like Filipino, Indian. Normally, they don't cross live like Filipino and Indian in one room because that would be World War III. Uh,
Yeah, depending on the type, yeah.
mm, mm. So um, then, so I was immediately comforted. Oh wow, I have a Christian roommate. Then I went to the office. Um, Lo and behold, my assignment was accounting supervisor, and under me were people 10 years or more older than I was.
Hmm.
And they were more senior in experience, mostly than where I was. There was this vice president of a certain airlines. Even the Filipino who was under me was assistant vice president, formerly of RCBC Bank in the Philippines. And it was a multicultural staff under me. And I said, what is this? I will be managing people older than me and technically brighter than me or more competent than myself. And so they were also looking at me, who is this boy that was,
How old
sent
were
to
you at the
manage
time?
us? I think 26, 27, and supervising a department. And they all look at me and said, eh, eh, uh, did what did management do? We have a at that time they have a big problem. The computers sort of backed down. The books could not match because they tried to uh, do a parallel. Uh, no, they tried to upgrade the computer system, but they did not do a parallel run. So they closed the old system. The new system did not match with the manual. So it was a big. So they have to employ experts to solve it. And we came from an audit firm, SGV, Anderson and Anderson, in the Philippines, the biggest audit firm. And that's the reason why me was hired. And when I learned that my partner to solve the problem was your Ninong Oji Kerry.
Oh, okay, okay.
So he was there ahead of me. So we were two people from SGV. We were both from SGV. We didn't know each other in SGV. It was a big company. That was the audit firm. And then there we were to solve the problem.
So,
And
yeah, okay.
yeah. So my people were not cooperative with me because they look at me as incompetent, just probably good connection. So I was in my post.
But they didn't really like
And so,
respect you.
yeah, so they were doing their job. They didn't even bother that they have a boss. So I called them together, and they were all on contracts. And I told them, I said, whether you like it or not, I was appointed to be your boss. But I know that you are better than me, more competent than me in your jobs. So I will not interfere. If you have a problem, come to me. Otherwise, do it the way that you do it. Um, uh, because before that, as I told them, I am always a believer of what I have read, that the happiest manager is one who have managers under him better than himself.
Hmm.
And so I was given this opportunity to have all of you better than myself. So this is a really good job for me. You're not reacting. And then I said, secondly, I will ask management to give you a 25% salary increase across the board. And they were all like, are you crazy? They said, you can never get that because we are all on contracts, and not maybe 25, 20%, I think, all contracts. And we only get renewal every time our contracts expire, and we negotiate. We could even hardly get a 5% increase. So I think you're making a promise that you cannot fulfill. I said, well, let's try that. And maybe if I can, you will begin to respect me.
Oh.
And so I went to my British boss and said, boss, I cannot solve your problem. You hired me to solve a problem. I cannot solve it. For me to solve it, you have to give my staff an across the board 20% increase so I can manage them properly. So the boss said, you're crazy. That's not done in the company. But you have to tell the boss that if they want to solve the problem, they have to go by my advice.
What problems
And
are
if
you trying to solve?
The computer
the messed up accounting books. And we're working with the biggest travel and aviation company in Saudi Arabia. The company has is the biggest travel company with about 40 branches all over the country, and we manage 27 airlines, manpower of 27 airlines. Because in the country, when you go to Saudi Arabia, there are no women allowed. The airlines are all men, so we manage. They're like we're the representative. You know, when you go to an airport, you check in. So we are like the subcontracted staff of 27 airliners in Saudi Arabia. So we had probably about 3,000, 4,000 people or even more.
So the main problem,
Uh,
your main problem was that the books weren't matching, but you're
Yeah.
asking your boss to have more money for the staff because they're not gonna really change if they don't have more pay. Is that right?
Yeah, I cannot get them to cooperate with me. Uh, can I solve the problem when they're doing their own thing and they are the reason for the problem? So
Uh, you
I
can't
need
fix it
them
if they
to,
keep putting the wrong numbers in.
yeah, I need to rally them behind me. And so I have to tell the boss, you have to negotiate that. Or we don't solve the problem. So my boss was the prince. So, but lo and behold, my recommendation was approved. And so I went down in like a month's time to my subordinate. I said, starting next month, your salaries are up by 20%. I said, you are kidding us. I said, yes, I got it. And after that, yes, sir, what do you want? What do you want us to do? You know, every one of them now respected me because first I took care of their welfare. I took care of what will make them happy. So you give it to them, you get the support. And so the long and short of it, we were given six months to solve the problem. By God's grace, we were able to do that. And so I also at one time was promoted as acting accounting manager. Um, because normally managerial level was British. But on the spiritual side, being a pastor in the Philippines, I was really looking and observing around. So within the first, I think 6 months of my work, if I remember it right, we have what we call Ramadan. Ramadan is fasting month in Saudi Arabia or in the whole Muslim world, which means the whole day from sunrise to sunset, they don't eat or drink. So their moods are really out there, you know, and so, but Christians are supposed to eat. I even a funny experience, and we are supposed to eat, but discreetly in hiding. So in hiding, I ate snacks, uh, and then one of the Muslim managers came into my office and greeted me. So how can I answer? My mouth was full. So that is a disrespect. So I still have to chew in, turn my back, chew in, finish before I could answer. Now, so when they were doing their fast, and by the way, they pray 3 times a day, or 5 times a day. 3 times of that is during the office time, 15 minutes. So we sort of discussed it very casually with our prince boss. Uh, no, not really. Just him. If I remember it, my prince boss dropped by the office, I think, with the British to just have a stroll. And it was Ramadan. I know it was prayer time. I don't know if I couldn't remember if I was the one who asked uh, or someone else, but there was some question like, uh, Your Highness, can we as Christians also pray when our Muslim brothers pray? And I think he said, of course. When they pray, you also pray to your God. So during the break, well, I think it was not me, but the purpose of those who asked that is so that it's break time to pray. It's at 15, 30 minutes. They can also break from their jobs. to
Mm,
go down
okay.
and
They
buy
weren't really
something.
asking if they could pray. They just want to break.
Break. They just want to break the same as the Muslims. But I use that break to get all my Christian office mates, like about six about OG, Omar, Bert, Ed Maniaco. I forgot the other two. So we pray every day in the office during prayer time for Muslims. And then I told them, why won't we meet in my house on uh, on Fridays? Because Friday is the break time. It's the worship time. It's the equivalent of Sunday. Why won't we meet in our house for Bible study? Well, I said that's illegal here. I said not really. When we're just there eating and talking about the Bible, there's
Mm.
nothing illegal about that. We're just oh yeah, of course, of course. We just talk. So then we are doing that in my house. And then we said, why would we invite some other people on Sa- on Fridays to do the same? We'll have like eating session here, then we talk about the Bible. And I think in less than, if I'm not mistaken, less than 3 or 4 months, my whole living room is not enough. We were now about 20, 30 congregating, but we're very careful.
Mm.
And then some people said, no, there are, I know there were two other churches underground at the time. One was repairer of the bridge, and I think one was GIL. And they said they do it very discreetly. Some of the ones attending my Bible study were doing it. So I said, then we plan for a big church. About 6 months after, we planned for a big church where the couples among us will rent the second floor of the building, like 3 units
Like
of
to
the
live
second
in?
floor. Sorry?
The couples would rent the building to live, like the unit above to live in.
Yeah. 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 By the way, I forgot to tell you. Remember when I came in, I was one of the, there are two in a room for
Yeah,
me. And, uh, and, because I was officer status, I was given a condo unit
like for yourself.
for myself, for myself, or a budget for it. And so what OG did, he has also a budget because he's also officer. We got a unit for both of us,
A
one room
bigger
each.
one.
Yeah, a bigger one. So we have a bigger living room. That's where we held the Bible studies.
Mm.
Uh, and on the side, by the way, the illegal thing to do there before is when you have that status, some of the nurses there will request you for marriage, just paper marriage, so that they can stroll. Because nurses in Saudi Arabia at the time only has 2 hours break a week for shopping.
What
So
are you doing all the time? Like working
you
and
literally, yeah, you literally stay. If you're a woman, you literally stay in your living quarters, guarded in a gated place. You're not allowed to go out. You take the bus to the hospital. They take you back. You only go shopping 2 hours a week. That's your only break time. It's like prison.
oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So so the way around that is they marry a Filipino like my status, so that they can be considered married there. Then they can go out, but they are covered.
They can go
So
out with their husband.
husband, and the husband can bring them like to the hospital, or they can take public transport. And by the way, the public transport there, the ladies are at the back of the bus. There is a compartment, 1/3 of the bus, like cargo compartment. That's where the ladies go. Uh, at the time, I don't think if that's still the case now. Now, and so the couples in our Bible study, three of them we decided to get a building on the third floor, no, of 2 floors, where the 3 rooms upstairs are the rooms of the couples. And then the whole ground floor, we made it a church. So we share the
So it
cost.
was like a house, but the rooms are upstairs.
Yeah. And then normally their house is gated very high gates. So we have a building inside a gated uh, uh, a building with all gates, so they cannot be seen.
Okay.
And then on the second floor are 3 couples. So technically 3 cars can get inside on a normal basis. Then we made the first floor soundproof. We
Mhm.
put egg trays all over so that even if we worship, it can be seen. And then my company was changing photocopying machines and equipment, and what they do is they throw it away. So I was
Mm.
authorized to throw it away. Uh, so I brought, because I have a car also, given by the company and a driver. I brought the Xerox machine, the photocopying machine, and some useful computers to the church, not the garbage truck, garbage bin.
What for? What
Uh,
taking the photocopy machine?
to photocopy Bible study materials, Bibles. I was able to bring in my Bible, so I photocopy it. So I used the photocopying machine to reproduce
But
Bible and yeah, and Bible study materials. And
oh,
so okay, so that was the most important machine there in the church. Then, make the long story short, we were able to, if I remembered it, our first service was about maybe 50 to 60 people, Filipino, all Filipino
mhm.
service, so complete with instruments. And then after 3 months, we started an afternoon service, all Indians.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, all Indians. Okay. And then the word came out that there is a church there, and then that evening service international, Kenyans, British, and whites also coming. So this
Why?
happened
That's
in
crazy though, that like all these people are coming to the house, like 60 people. How do
no,
you even have?
no, you cannot see that coming. About a kilometer away from the house is a big hospital, and there's a parking lot. So the two vehicles of the people staying there are the one going back and forth, getting the people from the parking lot and bringing it to the house. So even the neighbors do not know there's a there's a group going on inside, because there are no
It's the same
vehicles.
cars. It's the owner's cars that are
And
coming
the owner's
out.
car coming in, buying thing, maybe buying water, buying bread, buying something, you know. So
Oh,
coming, so they never noticed that. And then I bumped on what was the core why this has gone very fast, and this all happened in less than a year, that fast, three services.
oh.
Uh, and and I was the senior pastor, and then we have an assistant pastor for the Indian congregation, Brother Pastor Ashley, and Sister Judy for the British, or the international congregation. And uh,
How did you
I
meet them?
by word of mouth, meaning people said there's a church there. We just have to be careful. We just park in Elfan Hospital. Somebody will pick us up. So all underground, underground.
That's
I
crazy.
guess I have a
There's not even any
yeah,
teaching back then. So like, how do you even know
yeah,
someone is really gonna come pick you up?
yeah. So no, no. All of this is word referral. I was really operating. I was really head of a technically an underground organization. So um, meaning we said, okay, you are the key people. So if somebody says that they want to attend, you validate, and then you invite, and then you pick it up. So you take accountability for your invite.
Hmm.
uh, Make sure that they are not like some intelligence something that will arrest us. So like office mate of yours, make sure you know them, not some people just approaching you. Okay, so uh, but to me the backbone of the church was a discipleship program I started. So I started to teach 24 disciples every week with a specific discipleship program. I don't even remember what I really taught at the time. So, but it's every week for 24 disciples, and the graduation is you are going to witness to someone in the mall,
In the
and that
mall,
can
in a
in
public.
the mall, in a public place. So you have the risk of being arrested or imprisoned. So our code was that if you get arrested, don't ever say you have companions here. So that's always our everybody there has a commitment. When you get arrested, don't tell them who are the others in your group. Okay. So what happened is that on the last day where of the discipleship where we go in the mall, we I think the company has this because I had control over some equipment and some facilities. The company has a bus that used to ferry employees.
Okay.
So I asked permission that some employees will use the bus because we'll go to the mall.
Um,
Okay. So the bus was parked in a parking lot. And so the instruction is you go and witness to someone. The moment they want to receive the Lord, bring them to the bus.
Oh, you don't do it in the mall, so you're not trying to
So
get
you talk,
arrested
you
purposely.
yeah, you talk to the person, but if he's ready now to learn about the gospel and receive the Lord, bring him to the bus
Mm.
and pray. And until you are able to bring one, you cannot graduate. You will not graduate from this course. So it's like
Why
an
did it have
initiation.
to be like, why did you do it like that?
Yeah, because we are always challenged that in my thinking, some Filipinos were doing illegal reproduction of alcohol. They were doing prostitution for their rooms. They were doing gambling. I said they were doing wrong things. So why would we as well do something that is right, even if it's illegal? And so we were challenged by the fact that the Bible talks about persecution, and so we must stand for it. So that was where I thought I learned that people are willing to die for a cause.
Mm.
I have somehow convinced them. Uh, that's the reason why I understand how these uh, jihad bombers are so fanatical, because I have disciples as fanatical as that.
For,
Who, who
but then they're probably like the thrill too, like, you know what I mean? Like the
yeah,
thrill of
maybe.
like, oh, like, I mean, they want to do it for Christ, but it's also like, oh, this is so dangerous. It's like someone wants to do like an adrenaline junkie. I'm saying like you,
Yeah, I can, but I think more like, oh, if I do this, I really have done something for Christ.
mm,
Something like that. I think that's more of the motive that in my life, for once, I have risked it for Christ. Something like that. That
yeah.
was really like the driving force. And so, in fact, by the way, uh, I think this was done before the third service. Our third service was open because after this, all the 24 had at least one, two, or three converts that day. So we were forced to open the third service, international this time, because now there were Pakistanis, there were British, there were Africans who were brought to the Lord. So now we had a full organization doing well. Uh, and we were invited to evangelistic gatherings in the desert. So someone is working like in his accommodations with about 100, 200 people. We have a way of gathering them in their eating dinner time, and we have our instruments, and we conduct services there, mobile services in different camps. This is for the low, like the Africans, Indians, Pakistanis, and the like. So I just thought that, wow, we have a very big church, three services, and evangelistic gatherings, and so everyone say, where we all thought, what are the authorities? We're good, we're good.
Yeah.
Uh, and if you want, visit the Brown Church, and people will say, "Oh, thank God, we did not know the Lord." Because in the Philippines, where all was free. Now, in a restricted environment, I learned the Lord, and it's really fantastic. But then one very zealous Indian brother uh, imported, I think, 30 to 50 Bibles by DHL without telling us. By DHL.
Um,
Uh, and then when the cargo arrived, of course, it was delivered to him, and then he was arrested. We didn't know he was arrested. 1 week already, 2 weeks did not attend. So he denied. Say, true to our call, you deny.
Guys,
No,
I have a
I'm just alone.
question.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
When it comes to the, when it comes to the aspect of like the Bibles being banned, how does that work? Because you were able to bring yours.
Yeah, I was able to bring mine because I brought other books uh within my things. And what I did with the Bible, I didn't call it Bible. Uh I got a Bible without the name Bible, Holy Bible. And I put it in the very front of it. So when you open it with the other books, this was the very front. And the tendency I was already taking a risk when I first went there. But I play on psychology of the inspector. It is in front there. What he did was to get under the things and check. He didn't mind the one up because you'll not be crazy to put the illegal in front, right?
Oh, that's smart. That's
Yeah,
true. Like you're
yeah,
not gonna put the illegal one. You would hide it.
yeah. You would hide it down, so they immediately went down and get the other books down.
That's so true though, because
Yeah,
we did that at Slitter Book,
uh,
but it was for
yeah,
African as opposed to a Bible.
yeah. Yeah. I guess I had a criminal mind. The black side, the dark side of me. Yeah. Um, so I was able to bring my Bible, so I was able to reproduce it using the copy machine.
Mm.
Okay, and then but this Indian guy, his name is Anthony, uh, brought in. So he was arrested, but even if he was tortured, he never said who he was with.
Mm.
But in his
Mm.
room, finally, they were able to find my invitation, my letter, inviting him to a meeting.
That's how they got
And
into, yeah.
yeah, and they only had my name, no number, and they forced him. Who is this? So they were able to trace me.
Quick thing, the next
Yeah,
episode, we go through your arrest and imprisonment, so
yeah,
you can probably give more detail on that part
okay,
in the next episode.
yes,
That way, like,
okay.
it kind of keeps it, like right now is more about the starting the church part, which
So this is like CSI Miami,
it's,
Yeah.
where
yeah,
you
I gotta wait till the next episode
yeah,
we're
okay,
gonna
yeah.
keep them hooked.
Question. After I was arrested, they have to confiscate the church. They have to get all the things out. And therefore, all my 24 disciples uh, were dispersed, were dispersed. But 3 years after, 2 years after, I was told by Brother Bert that all of those disciples started their own churches.
Mm,
So what they closed as one ended up as 24.
4, wow, yeah.
And today, I don't know, only if we can have way of facing it. Because at the time, there were only three churches, GIL, Repair of the Bridge, and ours was Jesus for the World Fellowship. I would say that now, if there are thousands of churches or hundreds of churches in Jeddah area, a lot of that was children or daughter churches or granddaughter churches of our church.
Mm,
Uh, we just don't have the time to document that. Because again, the discipleship, and here is, I think, the lesson here, which Jesus Christ did to the 12 disciples, even when they were persecuted and thrown out in different areas, they planted churches where they were. And that is the beauty of discipleship. I learned that early on because I was discipled in Capital City Alliance Church. So I really imbibed this value of discipleship until today
mm,
as the key to sustain and expand the ministry. They closed the church where I was pastoring. They arrested me, but they never stopped the church because the disciples continued
I did.
the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Josh? I know, well, Dad was mostly giving his story. What questions do you have for him in terms of what he talked about today?
I guess I'll just ask, like, when you got arrested and stuff, did the thought ever come to your mind of, man, like I wish I had just gone to Bible school instead?
Never crossed my mind, Josh. In fact, really strange because because we'll go there next week. But when I was arrested, there was not even, I could not even remember an element of fear. And that's the reason why God really provides grace. Yeah, no, I really fully understand why Paul, Peter, when they were arrested, were so relaxed because God gives extraordinary grace. I never even felt any fear of dying, fear of anything, losing anything,
You didn't think about like
uh,
the pain, all those things? Physical,
pain, no. Sorry,
like physical pain that might happen.
no, they did not, did not torture me, but I didn't even fear anything. So, because the others were serious, I will relate next time. We were first arrested and released and then arrested again. When I would move from one prison to the other. But all throughout that, what was in my mind, I never feared. There was no fear. So that's grace really getting, empowering you. I never doubted God. I never blamed God. I never regretted I was there. I never thought this was a mistake. You know, all I did was, Lord, if you really would take me now here and I will die here, thank you for the 26, 27 years of life you have lent me. But if you still want me to live, I will leave it for you.
Hmm.
And it's the same feeling when I had COVID. I never feared anything. Something. So that's not of my own, obviously, because no normal being will not fear.
I have a question.
So that is the operation of grace, I think.
So you were like 26 at the time. When did you start taking your faith seriously? I know you had grown up like a believer, but when did you take it seriously?
I received the Lord when I was like 17 years old. That was like, uh, I don't know, 14, I think, years old. So I was like second year high school. But then in college, I was more like a backslider. But I was still faithful in the church, technically attending, but I had advices, I had all this stuff as a student leader. But after graduation, I had all these awards, blah, blah, blah. And I graduated from Silliman University, an American university, which was 100% in CPA board exams, passing mark, 100%. Where your mom also finished and got a sixth place after us. Now, so it is an institution with 100% passing mark. Our batch started 300 plus in first year, second year, and only 30, I think 38, 36, or 32 graduated from 300. And the rest all moved to another major,
Yeah.
management, finance, whatever. Very strict. So when I graduated and about to take the board exams, my teacher, our accounting teacher, was the head of accounting department, summa cum laude graduate, talked to me and said, Harold, I really am a believer of your leadership skill. That's the reason why you got the leadership award. I was part of the committee. I really fought for you to be there. But let me tell you straight, with the way that you have just got around passing the accounting thing, especially because of the support of your classmates, because I borrow assignments and they help me with a lot of stuff. Just so I get by. He said, you will not pass the CPA board exam. You will fail.
That's
You
not
will fail.
me.
Uh, 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 he said, you will fail. Uh, and unless you really study hard during the review, you will fail. You were smart to get around things so you passed. But you cannot do that in the CPA board exams. You will fail. And when you will fail, I will build a monument for you for destroying the record of this university. Now, I got the greatest pressure in my life. And so I went to the Lord. When I went to the Lord, I stopped all my vices. I went to a church. I'll stop all my vices. I will be 100% in the ministry. Just make me pass because I don't want my school to build a monument for me for destroying the record of the university.
So that's what made
That
you
was
get
just,
back.
yeah, that's what made me get back. And a long answer to your short question.
Hmm.
Uh, and so after that, I was discipled. I started Bible studies. I do like 4 Bible studies a week, even while reviewing. I was involved in church planting. I was super active after that, and until now,
Hmm.
yeah. So pressures make you perfect, not perfect, but make you refined. What I was actually doing is what you call missionary work, but they call it bi-vocational missionary. If that's not the, I think just that's now the word they use, bi-vocational missionary.
Mm.
In other words, you are a missionary at the same time a worker in a corporate or business setting, and you go to a place without the support, necessarily financial support of your church, because your vocation supports your mission. And I think it's now called vibe. At the time, we didn't know about that word. We were just zealous about Jesus. But now it is institutionalized. It's a bi-vocational missionary.
Hmm.
I feel like that's honestly better because I feel like the people in that place would respect you more because like you have a regular job. I don't know. I mean it just depends, I guess, because there's a lot of missionaries that are just fully supported by the church, but I feel like you can integrate more if you're working among them in a regular job. You know, like
Yeah.
how did the church grow so fast? Because what they were doing is they were inviting coworkers. You wouldn't have
Yeah.
coworkers if you were just solely just a missionary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're very correct in that, Kelly. There are two reasons that the bi-vocational missionary is really the thing to go. Number one, you don't need to wait for money to send the missionary. You just find a job. So you can do more mission work
Yeah.
without raising funds. Number two, you're very correct, contacts wise. You're already working there. You have immediate contacts who respect you. Whereas if you are, imagine if you are sent to Saudi Arabia and you know nobody, how will you begin? You talk to the person in the store or in a store nearby, in a supermarket.
Yeah, then you're gonna get arrested so fast because
Yeah, yeah.
that would, you know what I mean? Like in your case, you had to find out, okay, there were already underground churches. What did they do to succeed? So you already have that. And then, so
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and then you have, okay, well, you already have a contact, your coworker, whoever rented the top floor. So you start a church in the bottom. If you come
Yeah.
cold, you know, just from nothing and you don't know anybody, it's harder. It's for sure harder, but it's also gonna take longer for a church to grow. Because like, how do you find just random people that you have to build rapport, and you've already built rapport from your coworker. So it's like your coworker already trusted you when you say you were going to deliver the 20% salary increase. So now if you invite them to church, you've already built rapport as to like what you're saying makes sense. So if that's how you are in the workplace as a pastor, you would also deliver that you would do your best so that they don't get arrested. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I think that's the correct observation, and that's the reason why I'm not much of not a believer, but I'm not. I have been renegade or maverick, I think is the right word, on the traditional missions concept, because I am really a believer that you don't need funds to send a missionary.
mm,
In other words, Jesus sent his disciples with no funds, uh, just their clothes and a pair of slippers,
but they have skills.
two by two. Yeah, but two by two. Uh, they were not sent with no money. So I don't know. I still have, I still really just have to read. Uh, Even in the New Testament in Paul was not given money by the Jerusalem church to start a church. I still have to find, maybe you can help me just find where in the Bible is this giving of support to missionaries financially ever mandated. I could not find it.
What does mandated mean? Like
Like
in your
Mandated,
required.
it is
Why?
required.
Like,
Required.
where in the Bible does it say that the church has to pay for missionaries to go overseas?
I think it's not well, I think Paul talks about that the individuals who are in the ministry should be paid well and should be supported well. So that's one case, but that's like a statement that's of opinion, but not a commandment, you know.
Yeah, Paul was really saying that something like let's give the workers something like double honor and something like that, and support them, something like that. But it does not specifically relate to missions work, like structural, that because there were mission. Remember, Paul brought along different missionaries, right? He went to 3 missionary journeys. Never thought he tried to raise funds for the Macedonian, Corinthian thing, but it was not like an individual, like like a pattern, the same way that he said, "Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them Jesus in the name of the Father, Son, and instruction, teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you." There is no such thing as like you go and make sure that you have enough funds with you to do the work. Something like that is not
Maybe when
clearly
Paul was
established.
talking, I mean, obviously I haven't studied it enough, but maybe when Paul was talking about it, he was more like, okay, obviously help the church in terms of, I mean, help the work people that work in the church in terms of like making sure that there's funds for structure, like you need to buy wood and lumber and like overhead, as opposed to like the source of the, I mean, I don't know, like I haven't studied it enough to know that.
Yeah. So I tried to lately I really followed Paul's missionary journey. That I read the whole book of Acts. And so you know you have names there, Josh, right? You have different people he meets in John, Aristarchus, blah blah blah, along the whole way. There was never a mention of Paul, even his writing. By the way, I'll send you some allowance, or here is some money to with your trip, or something like that. There's only one mention, uh, is when he raised some funds from Macedonia, and he had Titus to carry the money to Corinth, where he said, "By the way, I have made sure that the person carrying the money is trusted," something like that.
But it was
But
to a
on an
whole
intimate,
church. He was sending
yeah, or,
money to a whole church, not to like,
yeah,
he wasn't
individual
sending money
person,
to just Titus for Titus to
yeah,
go use himself. You know,
yeah.
he was
So
sending
not,
money through Titus for the whole church.
yeah. So I in fact during our class in seminary, Josh, our professor said that the idea of paying pastors is only a tradition that started some 350 years ago. Prior to that, all the church founders were investing their own money for their ministries. And even before that, in the first century, they gave to the church, but there was no compulsory or systematic compensation of the clergy. So this professor of ours said the history of compensating the clergy is a 350-year practice, more pattern from the Catholic Church, not really Catholic, but from the from the church, after, in fact, the Reformation. Because even the Catholics, the priests do not have salaries. They're given like love gifts or some allowances or some percentage of collection, something like that. But they're given a place to stay,
Yeah,
something like that.
percentage, because I know I do taxes for a like a Jewish rabbi, and
Yeah.
like at work, and it's a woman, and she gets her, well, she gets like parsonage allowance. She also gets paid, but her payment is, you know, okay. But then she also gets parsonage, like a budget for house utilities and so on. So
So to me, the way to treat this kind of an issue, it's not to say that what is done now is wrong. Because there is also no verse that says that if you give to a missionary, it is not allowed. But it is not also a commandment. So
an opinion,
my
yeah.
my my view of viewing that issue is that if you can afford to pay and send your missionary with pay, go ahead. That's very good. That's not disallowed in the Bible. But if you tell me that you only go where there is money, I think that's where the issue
Mhm.
is, because I cannot support that biblically. You can go even without money if you have faith and you have training, uh, to go, because that's, I think, what they said, the meaning of making disciples, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. So there is some form of commanding you or training you to train leaders. So that's the only requirement of sending. So uh, uh, if you're a rich country, go ahead. But if you now require that, I think that's where the problem begins. Alliance is Christian Missionary Alliance is a very missionary organization. But now they have. I didn't want to oppose them, but now they have employed a lot of bi-vocational approach
That's good.
already.
Which is
Yeah.
also, yeah, and like I said, I see the, obviously, like I definitely see the benefit of a bi-vocational approach, because I know, like how Josh was saying, that he wanted to do real estate so that even in the people he meets during these, if he's showing houses, you can witness to them through conversation. And so it's like you kind of build rapport. You built rapport in your career, and then you can tell them about Jesus too. And it kind of is like, you know what I mean? Like, because they already, sometimes some people get like, oh, I don't want to hear about Jesus if that's your opening line. But if you talk about other things and then you bring up Jesus, you already earned their trust on the other things. So
Or
they're
if it's your character in your workspace, and if they see something's different about you, then they can
right.
be curious
They can
more than somebody
Yeah.
who you only see on Sunday or you never see.
Exactly. Or you
And then just there. So we are trying to give you all the biblical support for your career, Josh. You have to give us a burger for that. And also, your real estate, I think, like insurance, is the closest by vocation to being a pastor. Because you can say, I'm selling for you this house for $300,000. Yeah. But if you cannot afford it, there's a mansion in heaven free.
free.
Uh, so while waiting for the $300,000 here, can I discuss with you? The mansion in heaven is for free. So it can be a joke, but I just
You gotta tell us, Josh, if that thing worked. You gotta use it eventually and then see if it actually works.
because I have a friend who's a dealer of insurance life before. And so he is a Christian. And they said, why I keep on selling even if I cannot sell insurance life, because I said, if you cannot afford my insurance life, I have eternal life for free. Yeah. So when you're passionate about sharing the gospel, you can use every single thing,
Anything
jokes
like
or whatever.
for
Yeah.
a house, like another one is like, I can see that your foundation is, strong in this house, but how strong is your spiritual foundation, all those things. You can do a
Yeah.
lot of those things.
Yeah. How about golf, Josh? How do you rate golf?
Very easy,
Yeah.
every shot, every, I guess course, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, so that pertains to life in general, that every single, you know, time in life, it's not always going to be, um, obviously perfect because you hit a perfect shot, and sometimes you end the rough, so
Well, I do it two things at least. I said, well, you see what God made? What a beautiful nature God has made, for us, But golf is a really strange sport, because the smaller your score, the better you are. Correct?
Mhm.
And it's very much like the Christian life. The smaller your sins, the better you are.
hmm.
Uh,
So you,
so
you
it's
have to look
about
at it.
making it as low score in sinning score as possible. And you need the grace of God to really be a scratch golfer.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
So I
okay,
have this
anyway,
too. So I actually, I was going to do a sermon about it. It's golf and the gospel. So I was looking at it on my phone a long time ago. So some of the notes that I put is, if you look at golf, every beginning has a tee shot. And, this pertains to the gospel because just like every hole has a tee shot, you know, Christ is the beginning of every, in essence, our life. And so he becomes, our tee shot in essence, because if you look at the I guess the shape, or what a tee shot even means to Christians, obviously the T becomes a symbolic representation of the cross.
Yeah.
That, you know, that there had to be somebody who started all these things, started, you know, the game of life. So those kind of things. And then I think I have
Connection from golf to the gospel. Did you preach
what's that?
or not yet?
Not yet. And then like another thing was everybody has their own unique swing. So just like, you know, God made everybody uniquely when they're gifting. Some individuals, you know, obviously have different swings because of their body types. And so somebody swings differently. Everybody's unique in their own way. So that's one. And then I think another one is the main thing is when it comes to life and golf, the parallel of that is beautiful because when it comes to life, like I said, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Not only that, but you can hit the best shot in the world. You can do all the right things. But sometimes, you know, even though you hit a good tee shot, it's going to go straight through the fairway into the rough. And it's just a matter of how you're going to react to those situations. You know, are you going to allow, you know, the circumstance to affect you? Or, you know, are you going to, um, you know, look past that and keep pushing through? So those kind of things, a lot of connections as well.
Actually, just I have two more aside from the scoring.
Go ahead.
In golf, you really need focus.
You
The
do.
moment you're out of focus, your shot goes wayward. So that's the same as the Christian faith. You have to focus on Christ. If your focus is lost, you're disturbed by calls and other thinking, you know, and then you hit the ball, it goes to the woods. So focus is important in golf. And
Really good conversation. So I think we'll end with that and we'll go ahead and close this in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this time that we can talk about Dad's experience in Saudi Arabia in terms of how he got in and how he started the church. We're grateful that obviously he is still here with us, and that the rest of the story that we'll discuss next week, in terms of his arrest and imprisonment, we know that through it all you were there, that he was doing it all for you, and that's why you spared him, you've taken care of him, and he's here to tell us the story of how really you shaped his life. I pray for anyone that's listening to this. I pray that may be encouraged to really just be on fire for you, to do the difficult things, to witness to people, even though it's scary and even though it's daunting. I pray for anyone that's listening that they may feel blessed and encouraged by this story. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.